All right. Well, good morning, everybody. If you don't know who I am, my name is Paula Turley. I'm president-elect of ECAR, and I now call this meeting to order on behalf of President Bunny Nault, who is regretfully unable to be with us today, although I'm sure that she's not so regretful as she's on a little vacation. And I'm happy to welcome you all. So we are thankful to the YPN committee for putting today's program together on professionalism and the do's and don'ts of social media. I don't know about you, but professionalism seems to be going to the wayside these days with this crazy market. So we do have our YPN chair and board member, Tia McCluskey, to do the invocation for this morning's meeting. Tia?
Hi, good morning. So my name is Tia McCluskey and I am the YPN committee chair. As Paula mentioned, the YPN put today's program together to help our newer agents reduce their legal risks when it comes to advertising, and at the same time provide a few easy tech tips to help them expand their reach on social media. Realizing this information may be valuable to all realtors, we decided to upgrade it to a full membership meeting. The YPN also helps ECAR meet its core standards by planning community events. We do have one coming up in the summer. It's going to be a trivia / maybe cornhole. We're still working on it, but it's going to be great. It's going to be a fundraiser to replace our bowling for back to school, as we figured an outside event would probably be safer with everything going on. So if you consider yourself a young professional, please reach out and join our network. We do have a few new members, so we're excited about that. But we'd love to have you. So thanks everyone, and now here's your invocation. To my fellow realtors and colleagues, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who gathered here today. We are grateful for our many and abundant blessings, grateful for life itself, for the measure of health during these unprecedented times, for being granted the ability to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. And we are grateful for the freedom to embrace our fellow citizens and hold each other in equal and high regard. Today, as we hear from industry experts on ways to increase our professionalism, I encourage us all to look within for the wisdom to address and compassion the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is an honest disagreement, and personal peace in our lives and joy in their tasks. With April being Fair Housing Month, let us remember today and every day that the essence of the Fair Housing Act is to ensure equal rights for every American aspiring to rent or own a house. As we carve our path forward from this pandemic, let us all remain healthy, safe, and prosperous as we embrace our future together. In the spirit of professionalism, let us affirm that nobody should be discriminated against in property transactions on the basis of his or her protected class. And as President Bunny Nault would say, let us to say, can do. To you, Paula.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Tia. That was wonderful. And now I would like us all to join in our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can stand or at least put your hand over your heart, and we will, I guess I will go forward. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Tia. All right, I'd like to give you all an overview, a brief overview of where our association is at this point in time. So we're currently at 994 realtor members and 104 affiliates. That's a 4% increase over this time last year. Full pre-licensing classes and continued lowered expenses have contributed to an increase in membership and our overall fiscal strength. We currently have 18 months of reserves and are primed to purchase a permanent headquarters when the opportunity presents itself. Our strategic planning is underway and a member survey will be going out on Monday. Your response is crucial this year as our lockbox agreement is near its term and we are considering whether to renew or go back to Supra. If you want your voice to be heard on this and other strategic considerations, please complete the survey when you see it come in. As you know, NAR President Charlie Oppler has challenged all of us to complete the diversity challenge this month, and that includes taking the Fairhaven simulation at fairhaven.realtor, completing implicit bias training at nar.realtor, at home with diversity certification, and the implicit bias in real estate mandatory CE class. We're working on adding a class in April to give you all one more chance to complete the challenge to try and win a lockbox. Also, an announcement was made last month about Realtor of the Year, Affiliate of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and YPN of the Year. We've extended the deadline to April 30th so you can submit your nomination, and we will celebrate the members who excelled during an extraordinary year, the ones who led by example through the pandemic and demonstrated outstanding leadership, helped with the community, or otherwise outperformed in their business. And if you just check your chat real quick, Greg Hanner has just put the fairhaven.realtor link right in the chat for you. I would also like to welcome new approved by the board members, Kelly Chlorite, and I hope I'm not butchering your name, from Remax Legends, Nicole, oh boy, I'm butchering your names now, Nicole Tavernier, William Ravis Real Estate, Leah Policarpio, that's with Randall Realtors. And do we have anyone else here on the Zoom call? If so, please raise your hand to be recognized. All right, we have Daniel Nichols. And we have Mary, oh gosh, I can't see the last name, Bahonowitz. Did I say that right? All right, I was close. Anyone else? All right, well, welcome everyone. And we have Carolyn Spear with William Ravis. Anyone else? Okay, excellent. Well, welcome everyone, welcome new members, and come join our family. All right, it's time to introduce and extend our sincere thanks to today's sponsors, and I encourage our Realtor members to please get to know all of your affiliates and to give them an opportunity to do business with you. We couldn't do it without them. So we have 4 Diamond sponsors here with us today, and when you get a second, you can unmute yourself and say a couple words. Green Home Solutions, Dustin Maurice.
Good morning, everybody. I'm hoping it's a little choppy on my end, so hopefully it's not too choppy on your end. Dustin Maurice with Green Home Solutions. We're your indoor environmental professionals specializing in mold, bacteria, virus disinfection. Happy to announce that we're starting back our lunch and learns and our breakfast morning meetings. So if any of your offices want to start partaking in that, just to reach out to us and let us know and get us on the schedule. We'll come in and educate the realtors about mold, bacteria, virus, rodent infestation, all this good stuff you guys need to know. Thanks again for being a part of ECAR, and look to seeing everybody soon.
I'll also add to that, Dustin has just taken on the title sponsorship for our resource conference. So we're very excited about that. Thank you, Dustin.
You're welcome.
Yay, Dustin.
All right, before I go any further with our Diamond sponsors, I just want to point out that we do have another, Cindy Stringranelli pointed out that there's actually 2 new agents with Priority Realty Group. That's Jolene Brand and Mary Bahonowitz. I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. All right, our next Diamond sponsor is the Law Office of Chris Albanese. Chris, are you here? I'm looking through all of everyone here. I don't see Chris. Susie, do you see Chris?
I didn't.
Okay.
No,
All
but
right,
we can
so-
swing back around if he shows up.
Okay, great. All right. And we also have Tom Morgan here for Sound Home Inspections. Tom, if you want to unmute yourself and say a few words.
Good morning. April and I are in the office. I've been in business as I'm starting my 31st year in the home inspection business. April has been on board for 10 years, doing a magnificent job. As you all know her, she's the real link to the communication process here. We have a wonderful team. We do obviously full home inspections, commercial inspections. We did the oldest house last week in Saybrook, 1840. We specialize in very old houses. I used to be a restoration contractor till my body wore out. And we did a house in Old Lyme, 1724. We do septic inspections, termite inspections. I'm having trouble. My boss here, April, is bossing me around, which is good. We do well flow, full quality water, and we've expanded the water testing. If you're cognizant through the media, we are in southeastern Connecticut, the northeast quadrant. We're experiencing very high arsenic and uranium in water, and also radon. We had, what was the reading on the other day?
75,000. And there was an article in the newspaper, a survey that was done by the US Geology Department, and they are recommending testing for arsenic and uranium.
So that's an ancillary service, and it's a health issue, arsenic and uranium, and we do provide that service. We render a 35-page report with 25 or 30 photographs. We're definitely excited to be a real part of ECAR, and we want all new agents to call us, whether they just on the phone, Tom, what is this? April, what is that? We will help you in any way we can. You're starting a great career, and we're here to support you. Thank you.
And if anybody would like a copy of that article, we'll be happy to send it to you. That was in the newspaper about the uranium and the arsenic. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Susie.
All right, thank you, guys. All right, we have one more sponsor to address. That's Tiger
Chris
Home.
came in.
Okay, all right, excellent. So let's go back up a minute, and Chris from the law offices of Chris Albanese. Chris, are you here? Perhaps he's not settled yet. Is he unmuted? And I can't see him through the scroll of the 54 people here. So I'm gonna skip over him for a second, and I'm gonna go to Prime Lending with David Johnston.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, David.
David Johnston, Prime Lending. I've been doing mortgages here in Connecticut for over 30 years. Happy spring market. It's a little bit crazy out there, right? Seller's market for sure. I had a few of my clients just recently say to me that they're going to pull out of the buying process right now and wait 6 to 12 months until things settle down and prices drop. Well, I thought about that, and I'm sure you all are having the same situations. Right now, I've got a seminar I'm almost finished with, I'm going to be doing in May on why this is not 2007, 2008, and we are not in a bubble. And I think it would help you all in trying to discuss with your clients. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be able to do that in your offices come May, or I'm going to do one at ECAR. So we'll send a blast out in that. But right now, with the multiple offer situation, please use your local lenders, local affiliates for your mortgages. It's going to help you win the bid, number one. Number two, you got plenty of talent here locally. And also, just so you know, in case you need to win the bid with a quick closing, we are at Prime Lending, me and my team, we're offering 30-day closings for your clients to help them win the bid. So if you have any questions about the seminar or anything, please give me a call. Thank you very much, and have a great spring market.
All right, awesome, David. Thank you. All right, we're going to now circle back around. I think we got Chris on the line.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yeah, it's a crazy spring market. I'll just give you a quick example. My son's buying a house down in DC. Put in a bid yesterday for a house, was $1 million. He didn't get it. There was 33 offers, and the final price, I believe, was over $250,000 more than the asking price. That's insane. You know, just depend on your people out there, but it's just absolutely nuts. Guys, stay safe and hang in there with this market.
All right, thank you, Chris. Just a quick note, if everyone's been checking out the chat box, Jan Zakarski had put a notation asking about links to the other fair housing, NAR and CTR, and our own diversity classes. And Catherine is working on that, and she's going to be putting that in the chat for you shortly. Okay, moving on to our platinum sponsors. We have Homestead Funding Corp, represented by Keith Turner.
Good morning, everyone. Keith Turner here over at Homestead Funding. Just wanted to give a quick announcement. This is something that came out earlier last month, but I was going to send out an email today. CHFA with their down payment assistance loans, that's usually a hurdle for a lot of first-time home buyers, is the down payment. What they've done is they've now waived, or they've lifted the cap on how much money you can have saved up. So it used to be that if you had more than $10,000, they kind of want you to spend your own money for the down payment. So you could be sitting there right now as a first-time home buyer with 30, 40 grand in your pocket, still do down payment assistance. They've lifted that cap. So there's no asset test, I guess is what we call it on our end. Obviously, the more you put down, the more affordable the monthly payment's going to be. But it just is one less hurdle with having for buying house to help get you get your buyers qualified and ready to be out there, give competitive offers. So once again, Keith Turner, Homestead Funding, and any questions, we are here fully functional. Everything we do is e-signing, DocuSign, so we haven't really missed a beat. We just wish there was maybe 48 hours in a day some of these days. So, or if I could clone myself and work while I'm sleeping. So yeah, but thanks.
All right, yeah, Keith, when you figure that out, let me know, and I want that recipe.
Yeah.
Okay, we also have Sue Fasciani here from Tiger Home and Building Inspections. I hope I didn't butcher your name in that process.
Good job. You did fine. Thank you so much. Yeah, Sue Fasciani, a marketing manager with Tiger Home and Building Inspections. We are a family-owned business, and we perform commercial assessments, residential home inspections, throughout the state of Connecticut. And we have a full environmental staff. And speaking of, water packages and environmental, we are right now running a promotion where we have some bundle deals, and we are including, the uranium and arsenic in those packages. So take a look at our website and you can get more information on that. And I do have with me today, Kara Golden. She's Director of Marketing. So I wanted to just introduce her and give her a chance to say hi.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Sue. I'm really excited to be here. It's my first ECAR meeting, and I'm very much looking forward to Valerie's presentation. If I haven't met you over time, I am Kara De Laurentiis Golden, so I'm actually part of the Tiger family. And just real quick, since we're talking about social media today, you can learn more about the latest from Tiger, any of our promotions that Sue mentioned, or about me by following us on Instagram at Tiger Home Building Inspections, or on our Facebook page, website, and our monthly blog. So thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Sue. All right, and we also have one last platinum sponsor who could not make it today. That would be Peck and Teneski. John Peck is usually here, but he could not make it. Okay, we also have some other affiliates that are not registered today. Actually, we have Rick Turner, I think, did come on the call, but he's with Chelsea Groton Bank. Hi, Rick. Nice to see you. We've got Gateway Mortgage Services, Liberty Bank, represented by Pam Days. Oh gosh, luck.
I really give Rick a chance to say hi.
Okay, no problem. Rick, do you have a few words? Oh, and you're muted. Or something.
Hello?
There we go. Yes.
All right, we'll try that. Thank you. It's great to be here again. And just a little addition to CHFA, they've in the past only had the 1 point option for the rate. Now they have a 0 point, which sometimes if the buyers are a little bit short on cash, that works to keep that in mind when you're putting contracts together. Also, we're a participating lender with the Equity Builder program, which is the $15,000 grant that can be used for down payment and closing costs. We've already successfully registered 5 buyers that have gotten those funds so far, and that's been a great program. It can be stacked with CHFA as well. So just keep those programs in mind. Happy to answer any questions or calls, or just help put transactions together before you write the contract. So keep me in mind. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, and then the rest of these folks are not here today, correct, Susie? We've got Gateway Mortgage Services, It's also an affiliate. We just want to recognize them as affiliates that we have. Liberty Bank, represented by Pandays Lukadich. Okay, Lukadich, okay. Skips Wastewater Management, Sunrise Home Inspections. And then as gold sponsors, we have Commission Express and Sava Insurance. All right, did I miss anyone that's here that I should be recognizing as an affiliate? Anyone here? Anyone raising their hand? I've got to scroll through like three pages here. Lots of people here on the call today. That's awesome, by the way. All right. So thanks again, everyone, all of our sponsors. We really do appreciate all of you. So we are lucky enough also to have on this Zoom call today, Carol Christensen, who's our CTR president. Carol, would you like to provide us a short update on what's happening on the state level?
Thank you, Paula. I'll just try to take a couple minutes. First is tonight is our final book club meeting on the book, The Color of Law. I know several people from ECAR are in that book club. And the following Wednesday, the 21st, we're actually doing a Zoom call at 10 a.m. with Richard Rothstein, who is the author of the book. I'll be sitting down with questions that have been sent in by the members to speak to him about his book. So that's kind of exciting. Two bills that I think I'll just throw by you really quickly that CTR is very concerned about. I'm sure you've been hearing rumblings about teams. At the beginning of the year, the DCP and the Real Estate Commission came to CTR and said, there is no legislation, there's no regs, there's no rules or statutes about teams. We're getting an overwhelming amount of calls about teams. And teams aren't allowed in Connecticut. And we were like, what? Teams have been going on for 20 years. What are you talking about? So for the last 4 months, we've been working with the Real Estate Commission and the DCP to come up with some language that is acceptable to all parties on how teams can perform. And that's why earlier in the year, we sent out a notice to everybody saying, if you're planning on making a team, please don't spend the money on signs, that type of thing, until this language comes out. So, because we didn't want you to make signs and then say, okay, they're not going to be compliant. So we've been going back and forth. We're very, very close on wording that's agreeable to everybody. And as soon as we get that written language, we will send it out to the entire membership. We do have, I think, 210 teams in Connecticut. So that's something that will be affecting some of you. The other big one is we were fighting the environmental committee about a buyer's conveyance tax. We were opposed to it. When it came out of committee, it was even worse than we had thought. When it came out of committee, it is now a bill that says that a conveyance tax can be added to the buyer side, the seller side, and or both. At the pleasure of the municipalities. Now, all of you realtors here, and I'm sure even the lenders know that with the way things are in Connecticut, what municipality would not take advantage of that? And the pushback from the legislators is that it's not mandated, it's not required, it's if they want to, and we're fighting back saying, who's not going to want to? And if some people choose it and some people don't, you're going to be steering people out of different communities based on how much it costs you to purchase in that. So in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing a lot coming out. There's going to be a call to action. Right now, we are building billboards. We're doing flyers. We're doing information that you can share not only with the members, but also with your clients. So look out for that. The call to action may come out next week, but we've been working very hard on that. NAR gave us a grant to fight this, and that's going to be our big push for the next month or so. So that's my quick update, and I'm always available if you want to talk about something.
Carol, did you say, is there a call to action coming anytime soon?
Yes, I think next week.
Okay. Thank you.
So there is, I'm going to go a little off script, Susie, but the call to action can only be done if everyone is opted in on the text, correct?
Not necessarily. The first day it goes out to everybody by text, and then the next day it goes out to everybody by email. Okay. But just because Paula brought that up, if you can go to www.ctrrealtors.com/text, and you go in there, your information's already stored, so you just have to give us permission to text you. If you do it the text way, you can text to 52886, but then after you text CTR to 52886, you have to go through some questions, and some people don't get all the way through that, and therefore they don't actually get set up on the text. So it's better to go to the ctr.realtors.com/text to do that. So we would love it if everybody came on. Earlier this year, we sent out a call to action on the state property tax, and within 18 hours, we had over 23 written testimonies, and the legislator they were overwhelmed with that. So we want to really do that again, because this one's even worse. So looking forward to having all of you help.
Thank you, Carol. That is a really, really serious piece of legislation coming through that we all should really pay a lot of attention to. Greg Hanner, thank you. He has put in the CTR opt-in link in the text chat for everyone to grab and to go ahead and opt in to text messages from CTR so that you can have a voice and oppose that. Okay, thank you so much, Carol. That was a great update. And now it's time to bring on our first speaker. So our first speaker is Meghan Crawford. Meghan is the social media brand coordinator for Miranda Creative and will be offering tips to improve your social media presence. Please help me in welcoming Meghan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to get my share screen set up here for our presentation slides. Thank you for having me today, and I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about social media. So before we begin, just a few notes of housekeeping here. No need to take notes. The meeting's recorded. It's going to be available in a variety of formats today. As we just mentioned, my name is Meghan Crawford. I'm a social media specialist and brand coordinator for Miranda Creative, a digital advertising agency located in Norwich, Connecticut. Questions are welcome and encouraged. I will ask that you put them in the chat function for now, and Val and I will monitor that for each other. We will also compile all those questions for a separate Q&A question at the end of the session. For a brief introduction, Miranda Creative is a full-service brand management firm based out of southeastern Connecticut. We additionally have co-working sites throughout the state. We are a right-sized community of about 20 members and growing, with a carefully curated mix of skills designed to meet evolving client needs. Anyone who knows us, we know that we run a flat organizational structure with all ideas and experience levels are welcomed and respected here. We produce compelling messages in new and traditional media for a wide range of industries across the country. Some brands that you might know that we work with include Parkville Market, the first food hall in Hartford. We have Bishop's Orchard, Connecticut Art Trail. We work with the Mystic Seaport, CT Paid Leave. So we work in a variety of different industries, and we're excited to be here today. So let's talk social media. Why is it important? Why do I need it? How is it going to help my brand? Well, social media today, globally, there's about 3.6 billion people using social media, and that's a lot of time that people are on their phones looking at social media. That's a lot of chances to get in front of your audience and convince them that they need to start looking for a new house or whatever you're trying to sell them on. In terms of what platform you want to be looking at, Facebook is the most used social network with over 2.7 billion active users as of January 2021. I think TikTok might be coming up right behind them with a pretty hefty amount of users there, but Facebook still reigns the top platform to be using. On average, users spend about 144 minutes a day on social media. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time looking at your phone. That's a lot of time that you can be engaging with your audience, both in a static way and as well as in a video content and engaging them in that method. So that's a lot of time. In terms of real estate on social media, from Sprout Social, we know that 77% of realtors actively use social media. So if you're not, it's time to start using it. And let's get everyone on board here. 47% of real estate businesses reported that social media yields higher quality leads than other traditional sources. So if you are looking for new leads, this is a great opportunity for you to learn more about that. 99% of millennials and 90% of baby boomers start their real estate search online. So if you're looking to trend towards that demographic, another great space for you to start connecting with them. On today's agenda, what we're going to run through is what platform should I be using? That's a common question I get. There's so many different platforms. You have Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Now there's TikTok. So what platform should I be using? What content should I be posting and what content should I be avoiding? What a business page is and why we need them, as well as reading metrics. And I will leave you with a social media checklist at the end. All right. So what platforms should I be using? You're going to want to start with Facebook. We just learned that they have the most active users, so there's the most opportunity to engage with others on Facebook. LinkedIn is not a place to necessarily connect with homeowners or home buyers, but it's a place to connect with your colleagues and peers. So it's more business to business. You can connect with other realtors, whether it's in the state or outside of the state. So that's more of a connection point as opposed to a point of sale. Instagram is a great place to start as well because there's a trending demographics trend a little bit lower there, but it's also a great place if you're looking to include video content, and video content outperforms static content 9 times out of 10. So if you're popping in an IGTV, a reel, or other stories that can be video content as well. I will note that Instagram just released an update and you can now put active links in your IGTV captions, which is really great because prior you could only have links in your bio or on your static content. You could only have a link in your bio and you couldn't link directly to what you're trying to get your audience to do. Now the IGTV offers that active link, so that's a really great feature. I will also say TikTok, even though it's a little bit new and we're still new to it here too, is a great place to get video content going, quick video content. Again, video content is going to perform higher than static content 9 times out of 10. It's a little bit different, but it's also a place where you can have a little bit more fun as opposed to Facebook and Instagram, which tend to be a little bit more business forward. So TikTok is that place to experiment and also create great video content. So what should I be posting? Also, I'll note I have 2 screens going on here, so if you see me look back and forth, that's why. So what should I be posting today? It's important to note that not every post that you're going to put out there is going to be a sales pitch. So you can have posts that are a beautiful living room, and it can be a sales pitch explaining, exactly how much what property value is, or the space size, or you can give quick facts in there. But you can also talk about the incredible fireplace or that one detail about that house that makes it really special. So it's not actively saying, please buy this or please go do this. It's talking more about the characteristics of the house. And it's still in a way engaging your audience as a sales pitch because some people love house with character. Some people want that modern look and that modern aesthetic. So not every post should be buy this, come look at this, buy this, because your audience isn't going to like that and they're not going to want to see that every single time they go through their feed. So it's important to change it up and have those posts that just talk about the property and not with a call to action there. Another great place you can start looking into is stories. And what I mean by that is not actually Instagram or Facebook stories, but more about you. What's your journey to becoming a real estate agent? What inspires you? You walk into a house and you think, wow, this is an incredible feature, that detail we just talked about a moment ago. So you can share a little bit more about yourself and connect with your audience in that way. 9 times out of 10 on social media, everyone knows your brand. They know what you're doing, they know what your services are, but they want to know more about you. So by giving these little tidbits of information about what inspires you, what textures you really love together in a kitchen, or even tips and tricks like how to get pre-approved for a home loan, tips and tricks in those little bits of information that share more about you is going to make your content more successful. You can also look to share client success stories. I would caution and say that you might want to keep these anonymous, or you need to at least ask permission before you're using client-related content. That's just a permissions issue, something across the board everyone has to do here. But you could offer client success stories, maybe someone getting their keys, or even if your client does not want to be in the photo, it could just be a picture of your key, a video of a key going through, and the new house. And that's a great way to show client testimonials. It reinforces your brand. It reinforces what you're doing and that you're doing it well. So that's another great space to look into. We just talked a little bit about client testimonials. That could be in the form of the video. It can also be in the form of a quote. if you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, you might see that common post of a text post, and it has a quote and it's from a client. It's a review. Some people are leaving reviews on websites. So if you have client reviews, client testimonies, you can put those into a text format and share that on your page, simply stating, we love happy clients. We have clients who are super successful. We're so glad to be servicing our clients in such a great way. So you can share that you're doing well and your brand is successful without throwing it in everyone else's face, which is really important because that's not a great brand look. We talked a little bit about education and resources. You can start with industry news. If there's items coming out about what's going on with the market's climbing. I mean, this past year, we've seen a great influx in this market, as well as inventory being really hard to find. There's not a lot of houses, there's not a lot of properties, they're flying right off the shelf. So an education space is another great opportunity. Just general knowledge about your industry, some stats, resources. Again, we could talk a little bit about, how and why you want to choose working with a realtor and what benefits you get there as opposed to trying to do this on your own. Buying your first home, what's a good tip and trick? What are things you should avoid? If you're getting a house inspection, any information that you find relevant to your clients, or even a frequently asked question. If you're walking through a home with someone and you notice 3 to 4 questions that keep coming up, take that information and put that out on social media and your audience will respond well there. Also, if you're hosting virtual events or open houses, put those out on social media. Those are so important. You want people to come with the houses, so a virtual event. You can add a Zoom link, anybody can come, that's great. Open houses, you want to make sure you're promoting those, and that can be on Facebook in the events page section. So if you have a personal page or a business page, you can put events on the business page and it'll give information to anyone who sees it within your audience, and then your audience can also share it to other people who might be interested. So it's important that you are using that events feature. One item that we didn't talk about that you should be posting as well are the house listings, or property listings. So you could have sold items, items that are coming, upcoming, new listings, current listings. So it's important that you do have that type of content all the time when you're posting. So a new house comes in, you got to make sure you put it up on social and you make sure that you get the word out, again, for those open house and the virtual events, as well as those sales pitches. Okay. So the next area we want to talk about is what should I avoid posting? What's great about social media is that you can put everything that you want out on the internet in an instant. It's spur of the moment. It can be a little bit more fun, but also needs to remain professional. And it's super important to let your personality shine. We just talked about that a little bit in video content. You're allowing your audience to get to know you a little bit more through your mannerisms, through the way that you speak, the way that you interact, or even just the way that you walk through a property. So it's important to let your personality shine, but it's also really important to not share everything about your life on there, because not everything that you do is relevant to your brand or to your business or to what you're trying to accomplish on social media. So I would caution that not everything needs to go out there. I think on my personal pages, I don't put a lot about what's going on with my family or things like that. Your dogs, that's a safe space there, but Sunday dinners I think should be kept on the personal side as opposed to putting out on your social profiles. I would also caution to avoid controversial topics that are not relevant to your brand. The objective here is to engage with your audience and connect with them on a personal level as well, but you also risk offending others when you talk about controversial or very hot topics that are not relevant to your brand. If there's something within real estate that is a little bit controversial and you do have some information you'd like to share, that's a different story, but personal opinions that don't reflect your brand, I would avoid those. We talked about this in the last slide, but if you are posting something with a client, either it's their photo, their new house, their new property, it's important that you always ask permission before you post with them. You would never want to offend a client there and having posted something and then have to take it down later, or even write a note explaining apologizing. I have clients who've been there, who've done that, posted something, then the person didn't want to be on it. They didn't ask. They asked for a formal apology to be promoted on their social platforms. So it's super important that if you are using client information or client testimonials or things of that nature, that you do ask for their permission. Everyone's on the same page there, then if they ask you to take it down, that's a different story. You may not have to write that apology note. And so it's important to just have everyone on the same page and have that permission set at the beginning. It's also important to give away some helpful information like how to get pre-approved for a loan, tips and tricks of buying your first home, but don't give away your process. Your unique style is important to you, and that's what makes your brand important, and it makes your brand different from everyone else's brand. So you can give away that helpful information, but don't give away all of your tips and tricks. Don't give away your process, but what makes your specific brand special. Another common question I get is, where do I start? Social media, it's so great, but it can be a lot of work. And maintaining more than one platform can also be a lot of work. Ideally, you want to have all platforms, including Pinterest. Snapchat's not a great space, especially if you're going to look into advertising. I wouldn't recommend Snapchat, but Pinterest is a great space for aesthetics. So it's important to know that whatever you choose, you need to find a sustainable system, and they all need to be business pages. So Instagram offers business accounts. Facebook offers business pages. LinkedIn also offers business pages, and you can have more than one. So if you have your own brand and you're also under another brand, you can have your own business page as well as a branded business page that you're contributing to as well. The importance of a business page is understanding the metrics, and that's going to tell you a lot about your audience demographics, where they are, what time of day that they're online, what they're engaging with the most. So having access to those metrics will make your life then a little bit easier when you're starting to refine your social media plan. It's also important to be consistent in finding a sustainable system. Some people like to work on social media for 30 minutes a day. Some people only want to do 30 minutes a week. Whatever you do decide, it needs to be a sustainable system so that you will go in and make those posts. You will go in and publish that content. And consistency within your profiles is very important. We recommend looking to post about 3 times a week. Could be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And those consistent posts could be Monday is a client testimonial, Wednesday is a new listing, and Friday is a little bit more fun on that tips and tricks content. So you can have those 3 posts lined up and ready to go. You could create them at the beginning of the month, schedule them out, and then you're good to go for that whole month. And as new listings come up, you can add those later. So whatever you decide, it needs to be consistent. You want to aim for 3 posts a week if you can across all platforms. TikTok, they say, TikTok is the one place where quantity is better than quality. They just want you to keep posting and you're rewarded for posting more and more and more. But that's a little bit unrealistic. On the other platforms like LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, quality is going to perform better than quantity. So just posting to post isn't going to do you any good, but posting content that you think is really engaging and your audience is engaging with will be more effective in that manner. With the algorithms on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, the way that they show your posts is between 3 and 5% of your audience. It's also a great way to measure your engagement. So if you're posting and 3 to 5% of your audience is liking, commenting, or sharing, then you have a really healthy engagement. I know that sounds a little bit low, 3 to 5%. We want to aim a little bit higher, but a healthy benchmark for that is 3 to 5%. I would also recommend using a template-based application. So one that I use is Canva. And the reason I love Canva is because it's a free option and it comes with pre-sized image blocks. So if you're looking to post an Instagram post, you can choose that template, put an image on it, and then you can just export it and post on social media. So you never have to worry about stretching your images or them being disproportionate for either Instagram or Facebook. So I love Canva in that way. And you can also put your branded logo on there as well, which is super important because you want to get your brand in front of your audience. So by having Canva, you can put your brand logo on there, and you can also have the images pre-sized in a grab and go format that doesn't require you to really change anything about them. I mentioned earlier posting 3 times a week. All right, hashtags are the ones that a lot of people are confused about, but they're actually kind of like an invitation in a way. So a hashtag acts as a filter. A hashtag that I follow is tiny home big living. And so whomever posts within tiny home big living, I will see all of their posts come through on my main feed. And so that's really important if there are hashtags in this industry, such as real estate is a good one, that a lot of people are using and a lot of people are following. We like to break hashtags down into 3 groups here. We have brand related. So oftentimes that'll be your company name, your company tagline. If you have a short little 3 to 5 word catchphrase or mission, or so those would stay in the brand side. And then we have industry focused. So things like real estate, tiny home, shoreline real estate, depending on what exactly you're looking for within your brand, or excuse me, within your industry. And then the third bucket we tend to look at is more of the content related. So if you are talking about how to get pre-approved for a loan, then you would want to use some hashtags that relate to that specific content. Again, you can hashtag testimonial, you can hashtag review. There's a few other options there depending on what content you are pushing. So that was a lot. I'm going to run through that really quickly again. We want to make sure we have a business account set up. We want to make sure we're having a sustainable system for posting 3 to 5 times a week, minimum 3, max would be 5. We want to use a template-based application that's going to give us a grab and go template. We can put an image in, export it, and then let it go on social. Hashtags, you have up to 30 on Instagram. I forgot to note that before. My philosophy is you want to use all 30. If not, you're leaving invitations on the table. However, you should aim to at least use 7 to 12. That's the sweet spot. 30, I think you can put it in the first comment if you don't want it on your post. And we want those to live in the 3 buckets of your brand space, industry space, and then content related. We talked a little bit about metrics before and why they're important. You can see these images here are the back end of Instagram metrics. So metrics are important because they tell you when your audience is online, what your audience demographic looks like. And so that can help you be more refined in your decision on when you want to post. So if you're targeting a market that's a young professional, oftentimes we're looking at our phones in the morning, at lunchtime, and then again right after work in that happy hour space. So if you're posting at 2 p.m., you're not going to really reach the audience that you're looking for. Whereas if you're looking to connect with college students, they tend to be online a little bit later in the day. So it's important to know what your audience age is, who your audience is, and what times they're online here. So you can see from Instagram on the right here, we have Thursday, and you can see what times they're online. So 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. is a good space that we want to target here. You can see we have mostly women and men. This is the back end of the Miranda Creative Instagram. We have mostly women and as opposed to men here. You can look at your interactions. So that week we had pretty high interactions with 160 profile visits. We had some emails, some website clicks. Our impression rate was really high. And you can see here, you can get additional impressions from hashtags, which we just talked about them kind of being a filter. So anyone who followed one of the hashtags that we used, we had 34 people who are outside of our audience that were able to see our posts from that hashtag. Others, that kind of weird space that Instagram doesn't really define. Maybe someone sent them a post, someone shared it, gave a link. So that's what the other space is. Again, you can see what location and what age range. And then this graphic here from later is the general times that people are posting and when they're going to be online. So you can see here, these are just some good ideas. I, again, would look in the back end of your personal page, your personal business page, to ensure you're connecting with your audience. And we're going to talk a little bit about what some of these metrics are. So impressions, those are the number of times your content is displayed, whether or not it's clicked on. And that's different from your reach. They are very similar, but they're not exactly the same. Your reach is the total number of people who see your content. So impressions, if you have the same person looking at your image 3 to 4 times, that'll go in impressions, whereas reach is the number of unique people, so different individuals who have looked at your content. Both are equally important metrics to look at and can help you benchmark how your process is going. We have engagement, which is the total number of times individuals have reacted to your content. And that could be through a like, a comment, a share. On Facebook, there's the reaction. On LinkedIn, it's that share information and leave a note on the top there. So engagement rate is another place that we want to look for when we're using social media, because that's the objective. We're trying to get our audience to ask a question or connect with us, give us a call. So engagement is super important as well. We have clicks, which is the number of time that someone has clicked on your content. So if you're on Facebook and you're posting a new listing, a new property listing, and you add a link in your comment, in your content section where you're writing your messaging, if you add a link in there, you can track how many times people have clicked that link. Unfortunately, you can't see who has clicked it. You can just see how many times they have clicked it, which is important for looking at how your engagement is trending there. If more people are clicking on content that's education-based, maybe that links to that article on the new trends for the summer market. So if you post an article related to that content and they're clicking a lot on the education-based content, you know that that's something your audience is really interested in. If they're clicking a lot on the new listings, that's another place that you know your audience is really interested in that. If they're not clicking on your website from a testimonial post, then maybe that's not the right space for you to go into. So for example, you could have the testimonial, the review, and link back to your website in your caption there. If they're not clicking there, then you might want to consider looking at a different area to engage with your audience. All right, so we're going to run through our social media checklist here. We just talked about setting up a business account. Those metrics and insights are super important. And it's important that you're looking at them regularly to make sure that your content is connecting with the audience that you want to connect with. Make sure that your main message stands out. This is super important, and it also relates to email content as well. If you think about how many posts you see a day or how many emails you get in your inbox, people are most likely to read the top portion of your content. So the first maybe 3 to 5 lines, if you have a longer post. Whatever you're trying to get your audience to do, make sure you put it at the top. So if you want them to visit your website, tell them that right in the beginning. And also another good point here too is that your audience wants you to tell them what you want them to do. So if you're just posting a house and there's no action there, they're just going to think it's a pretty house, like it, maybe not do anything with it. But if you want them to sign up for an open house, go to a virtual event, or simply go to your website, tell them that's what you want them to do. You could say, learn more, pop a link in your bio or in your content. They're going to click the link and take that action that you've asked of them. Make sure all your images look clear, or not blurred or stretched disproportionately. So we just talked about Canva a couple minutes ago. That's a great option to put some images in if you are worried about sizing and you don't want to stretch disproportionately there. You can also add your branded logo onto the top of those images if that's something you're interested in. Also, always double check your links. Make sure they're active. The worst is when you post something on Facebook or LinkedIn and your link is not active, and then you get 3 to 5 comments saying your link's not working, your link's not working. So always double check your links before you put your content out. And for Instagram, if you're not using an IGTV, you're going to use a link tree or link in bio. So make sure that those links are constantly updated if you are using that. Plan out your content in advance. We talked about those 3 posts a week. Plan it out in advance, maybe, or if you're If you spend 30 minutes a day, that could be your planning out in advance. If you want to spend an hour at the beginning of each month and plan out your content that way, whatever you do, make sure you have 3 to 5 posts a week, minimum 3. But also remember to have fun and make your plan sustainable. Social media is that place that you can have a little bit more fun. You can share that video content of you're at a new listing. You can share a video content of your dog playing in the backyard and then pan back to the house. So that's a creative content to get the viewer back to the house, but you're still giving that little piece of that personal touch by having your dog in that TikTok. So whatever you do, have a little bit of fun, but also make sure that your plan is sustainable for you and it's something that works for you. And continued learning. A few sources that I recommend is the Sprout Social blog, the Hootsuite blog, Falcon blog. Canva was that application that has all the image templates and you can put your branded content in there. That's a really great free tool. There is the paid tool option if you're interested in that, but the free version is great. And I also would recommend Planoly or Facebook Creator Studio. Those are 2 online applications that allow you to plan out your posts in advance and schedule them. So if you have a post you want to post every Monday at 12, you can plan that out in advance, set it to post, and it'll post automatically for you. And so you don't even have to worry about making sure you're getting to it or possibly forget it. So those are 2 great resources, Planoly and Facebook Creator Studio. The first 3 there, the Sprout Social, Hootsuite, those are all social platforms that provide blogs, statistical information, and just general updates on what's going on each platform. All right, so I think there are some questions.
Megan, before we go any further, there is a question. It says, for people venturing into social media marketing, what is the most important piece of advice you can give?
Okay, that's a good question. So I think the most important advice, I think, would ultimately to keep it sustainable for you, but also make sure that you have those business pages set up and you're looking at metrics. You can put out as much content as you want, but if you're not connecting and engaging with that audience, then you're wasting your time. Ultimately, you want them to engage. So if they're not engaging with your content, you want to make sure that you're looking at what you're doing and reevaluating. So it's a guess and test process in some way that you just have to start putting content out to see what your audience is going to engage with and when they're engaging with it.
And then there's another question. It says, what should you post? Should you post business content on your personal page? If so, what are the best guidelines for that? And I can tell you that Megan and I are going to have different guidelines.
Okay, so I would suggest if you do want to post business related content on your personal page, I would actually have it come from your brand's page, in my personal opinion there, because that has the opportunity of you both having that personal touch from your personal page, and you can kind of say a little bit, add that personal touch on your personal page. And if you share it from your brand's page, then you get that added benefit of your brand being in front of your audience, which is a little bit different than what you might have on your business page.
Okay, and then we have, would you recommend Facebook ads?
Yes. I will say that there is an update coming, iOS 14.1.4. There's a new iOS update coming, and it's going to have a little bit of an effect on Facebook ads. It's not exactly clear what's going to happen with it, but in the meantime, I would recommend Facebook ads. They tend to be the best for smaller budgets if you're looking to stay within a smaller budget. If you want I would not recommend LinkedIn ads because they tend to be more expensive. They're priced a little bit differently, and it's not as an effective tool for this industry. Facebook ads would be the place that I recommend, and you can also use Instagram ads in the same place. So Facebook owns Instagram, and if you place a Facebook ad, it's also going to populate on Instagram for you, which is double the exposure.
And then we have another question, which is, how long should you test certain content?
So I would say at least, I would say it depends. I would give it at least 2 to 3 weeks for the beginning to see what exactly sparks interest in the beginning, but you should probably check in on your plan every 6 months at least, I would say. Just check in on what's going on, how your platforms are doing. At a minimum, I would do every 6 months.
All right. Okay, oh, and Susie just put in, do you think a scheduled Facebook Live event is more effective than a scheduled Zoom call?
Depends. If you're not getting the engagement you want on Zoom, then yes, I would go ahead and do the scheduled Facebook Live. You can also link your Zoom account with your Facebook page. So for example, this meeting here could be a Facebook Live on a Facebook page. So if that's something you are doing, I would take a look at that as well. So you get both lanes of exposure.
That's interesting. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Megan.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good content there.
Thank you. I will also drop my email into the chat if anybody has any further questions.
All right, excellent. Catherine's also going to put a little, there's a little snippet in the chat that Catherine just put in there. It essentially talks about a free member benefit that NAR provided to us about a month ago. It's a national campaign they're doing, and it's free social media marketing that you can do. And it's through the photofy.com/NAR link. And when you go on that, you can actually customize Facebook postings and Instagram postings for yourself as a realtor to get you out as a realtor. So take a look at that as well. Anything that's free and is decent content, I am always for. All right, thank you so much again. Our next up online is attorney Valerie Votto, who probably needs no introduction. She just sort of insert herself a little bit in there, which is awesome. Valerie will provide guidance on social media as it relates to the code of ethics.
Yeah, and bear with me. I'm going to. I disappeared. Hang on.
We can see a screen of a beautiful lake with a mountain.
Oh, yeah, but that's not what I want to share. Of course. Here we go. There we are. And I'm having of course, it's a social media thing, so I'm having difficulty, right? At any rate, let's do it this way for now. Can you all see? Can you all see my? It's not going to be as artful as it was, but I can't seem to
Valerie, if you go to the bottom right corner.
Bottom right.
And there's that little icon next to the minus sign on the bottom right corner. Click that.
You are awesome. That better? There we go. Thank you, Susie. I usually click something up at the top, but I couldn't see it. Okay. I hate to do this. This was a great presentation, but I'm the one that always has to sit on your shoulder. I'm going to be a little bit like Jiminy Cricket, kind of telling you the things you need to be careful about. And one of the first things I'm going to say before I get into any of that sort of detailed information is please remember that the way most agents face issues with respect to social media is, number one, not following what Meghan suggested as suggested content. So that's the very first thing. She's speaking to what you should be doing to engage your audience. What we're finding is a good amount of the social media posts that we are reviewing have a lot about, look at me, I'm the best. We see a lot of negative references to other agents. And how do we find out about them? Your friends are not your friends. Okay, your social media friends are the ones that are turning you in. So other members of the industry are actually spending time looking through and turning others in. The second thing is, be very careful in remembering that while you are using this tool, and it is a tool that you have to use now, it is part of your responsibilities on behalf of your client to be able to show their properties in their best light, to use all of the available tools. And that means that you are using social media to your client's best advantage as well as your own. So you have to keep that in mind. That being said, when you work with someone who is going to assist you with this, when you attempt to do some of these different types and kinds of things to widen your audience, you have to remember that you are the real estate professionals. And if you are working with someone, you have to tell them what your limitations are and what can't be done in your industry, okay? Oddly enough, we don't have a lot of statistics for the last couple of years. I wonder why, but we can look back, and the biggest ethics issues continue to be those that recur year after year. And since 2016, the top of the list has been advertisement of properties on social media, okay? If you look, the top ethical issues, the two of the top ethical issues involve social media. And we've got advertisement practices. Then we've got multiple offers, social media practices, saying too much or perhaps not saying enough. Number 4 is RESPA violations, and number 5 is property disclosure issues. So look at what we've got. We've got 1 and 3 coming up as being a problem. So we're going to focus on advertisement practices. We're going to focus on social media. And you can all confirm, some of you have been doing this as long as I have. So I'm going to say we can confirm that the real estate world has changed over the last 20 years. And you are all now being, asked to, or good advice would be that, excuse me. Good advice would be to embrace all of the new avenues for advertisement. It's encouraged. It's encouraged by NAR. It's encouraged by your companies. It's encouraged by classes like we're having right now. But the proper use of social media has to be just that, proper. There's a benefit, there's a burden, okay? We can see what the benefits are. We can also think about what the burdens are, okay? This is the social media, it's the current communication method of younger generations. I can say that because I'm old, okay? This allows a real estate professional many opportunities to expand their reach. I think Meghan gave you brilliant ideas on how to do this and all of the various platforms available to you and methods to use them. But I have to caution you that there are risks that come with it. There are boundaries. And if you start blurring the lines between public and private, and you don't do it properly, you've got some issues. Now, when you think about it, one of the things that Meghan said in her presentation was people want to know you. You have to let some of your personality shine through. You have to let people kind of know what interests you in your industry. This is how they become personally involved with you now. Before, it used to be a face-to-face meeting. You'd sit and you'd have a cup of coffee. You'd talk about what a perfect house would be for them, things that interest them, features that interest them. Now you're not going to do that anymore. Your encounter and your interaction is going to be via social media. So let's think about what we have to do. I think we all know what it is, okay? So I don't need to go through the basics, all right? The challenge for you, though, is to embrace this change, okay? And to go with it, but recognize as you start to blur the boundaries, you have to protect yourself, your company, and your clients. NAR clearly encourages the use of social media. You can get online and look at NAR's information relative to social media. And here's what I'm going to tell you. They provide you very little direction. They have a very detailed directive to their own employees on what social media practice should be. So my sense is, if you'd like to get an idea of what NAR thinks is important and how NAR views the use of social media, if you read that and try to apply some of their information that they pass on to the people who work for NAR to your own life and how you are going to use these tools, then I think you're going to stay safe, okay? Here's what you're told. You were just told this by Meghan. You need to interact, okay? These mediums give you the opportunity to interact directly with your potential audience far more quickly than you would if we had to rely on face-to-face meetings the way it was done before, okay? So you need to remember that you have to reply promptly to them, okay? The same old adage that we used to have before, which was return the call as soon as you can, make people feel that you are eager to work with them, make people feel that you are available to them. Those same rules are going to apply to you here. You know, you should reply promptly to comments and inquiries. Otherwise, you are going to put people off. Be consistent with your branding. Make sure that your pictures are professional. Take the cues that Meghan gave you. Use the tools to make sure that your product becomes polished, okay? You should develop the familiar. It allows people to recognize you, but you need to keep your messages concise and useful, okay? Posting listings exclusively. According to NAR and a nationwide company suggested sources, the fastest way to lose the following is to be all business all the time, and Meghan touched base on that. So let's think about what's happening here. I'm talking about NAR, I'm talking about getting advice, and I'm talking about this being a good new tool for you. So we are definitely encouraging you to use social media. We are hearing that the new norm is to blur lines between your business and personal lives, but there's a limit, okay? You are in trouble if you do it wrong, but you are truthfully provided with little direction from any of the institutional sources you would be looking to as to how to do it right. And when I say that, I don't mean that in, do you come up with polished professional product? I mean that in doing it right so you don't run afoul of your code of ethics, okay? This provides you with a lot of ethical challenges as it blurs the boundaries between your personal lives and work. It can be difficult for companies to protect their reputations and uphold their responsibilities to stakeholders and shareholders, and empower employees to use social media ethically and efficiently. When I say this, I'm talking about companies in general. I'm doing the more, you know, I'm speaking of, you know, brokerages and what guidance they should be providing to you. Some do provide guidance, some don't, okay? This is what gets you into trouble. A lot of real estate professionals don't follow the directions that Meghan provided to us, okay? A lot of people often let their guard down online, making the mistake of treating their communications on social media as sort of casual conversation and forgetting that there are guidelines to uphold that space well. This is my moment where I always say something. For those of you who are old enough, who are my age, and some of you here were practicing with me when I first started. We always just remember there was an adage when we were younger that was don't drink and dial. Okay, remember it was sort of a thing about what not to. We say this now to people with respect to social media. Okay, there's a whole lot of people who have been home. They have been utilizing social media as a method of communication. They've been by themselves. They take that time at home to vent about the real estate markets as they exist now. And we've all said this is a particularly high pressure market. Everybody wants every minute of your time. Everybody is picking at you. You've got sellers who think they should get just a little bit more. You've got buyers who are now angry that they you know, didn't get the house and they bid $25,000 over asking. You've got a lot of things to go around, okay? So what we're finding is there's a lot of venting going on, and it's not a good thing, okay? A major misconception is that comments made in Facebook groups and other online forums are private, okay? You know that's not the case. For some reason, people forget that when they've got a box in front of them and they're communicating with people, that it's out there. And it is even more out there than any conversation you could have had with a room full of people, okay? Never assume that comments made to groups aren't viewable to the public at some point in time, okay? When practitioners discuss commissions or working with a difficult other agent, you're potentially running afoul of the code and you're risking exposing your behavior publicly. Even if the group is private, fellow member could take a screenshot of the conversation and file an ethics complaint. The reason why I have this slide is because it has happened. This has already happened in Connecticut, okay? So here's your don'ts. You should know these things. Don't vent about another real estate professional online. Could be a violation of Article 15, which, oh, and I spelled realtors wrong. Look at that. Which prevents realtors from making false or misleading statements about other real estate professionals related to transactions or business practices. Even suggesting that another agent's client take a negative action against that agent, such as something as like this following quote, fire your listing agent and I'll help you, can easily become an ethical violation. Okay, it could become a civil matter too, but it's an ethical violation. Okay, don't share another agent's listing by retweeting or putting it forth on your social media timeline. This could constitute improper advertisement of their listing. You can't engage in a practice that is inconsistent with exclusive representation agreements. You've got a potential violation of Article 16. Okay, don't mix business with pleasure. It's kind of a question we've asked before. Many agents have both personal and business accounts. A Facebook business profile is a great idea. It notes your role as a real estate professional and illustrates the company you work for. And the reason why I'm saying it that way is you have to comply with the provisions of Article 12, Standard of Practice 12.5. Okay, this is advertisement. While the Code of Ethics was not written at a period of time where social media was even a thought in anybody's mind, it was written before television. I want you to think of it in those terms. The rules still apply, and even the bits of tweaking that we have done to the language of the Code of Ethics doesn't exactly put you in a position where you have to be able to take the spirit of the document. Let's say it that way. You have to be able to take the spirit of the document and apply it to your life now. Okay, here's your Article 12. Realtors shall be honest and truthful in their real estate communications and shall present the true picture in their advertising, marketing, and other responsibilities. Realtors shall ensure that their status as real estate professionals is readily apparent on their advertising, marketing, and other representations that recipients of all real estate communications are or have been notified that the communications are from a real estate professional. So this goes back to some questions that were coming up earlier when Meghan was presenting. If you have multiple businesses and you have multiple business pages and you happen to be a real estate professional and you're trying to sort of cross market, please remember that those other business pages, if you are trying to use those to your advantage, also have to reveal that you are an agent and comply with the provisions of Article 12 and this standard of practice. Realtors shall not advertise nor permit any person employed or affiliated with them to advertise real estate services or listed property in any medium. And we now give you the suggestion in the code without disclosing the name of that realtor's firm in a reasonable and readily apparent manner, either in the advertisement or in electronic advertising via a link to a display with a required disclosure. Okay, that was amended in 2016. This is probably one of the biggest places we see people run afoul. Okay, if you post on your personal page, you put yourself at risk. Okay, it's not always clear when a post constitutes advertising. Therefore, the most logical thing to do is avoid the problem. Okay, your personal is your personal, and your professional page is your professional page. If you ask me as a lawyer, that's where I tell you you stay the safest. All right. If in the alternative you want to somehow crisscross them, I have to be very clear. Okay. If you're in doubt, include a link in the post to a web page that displays your company's logo prominently. Such is especially important on Twitter because you can't fit the name of your company on each tweet. Okay, that is not my suggestion. You see who the suggestion is. Okay, don't communicate or commiserate about commissions online. This is another thing that we saw via other associations, and actually the commission has picked up on this. Okay, communicating and commiserating about commissions, you trigger standard of practice 1.9. Article 1 is very clear. When representing a buyer, seller, landlord, tenant, or other client as an agent, realtors pledge themselves to protect and promote the interests of their client. This obligation to the client is primary, but it doesn't relieve a realtor of their obligation to treat all parties honestly when serving a buyer, seller, landlord, or tenant, or other party in a non-agency capacity. Realtors remain obligated to treat all parties honestly. Your standard of practice 1.9 says that you are obligated to preserve confidential information provided by the clients in the course of any agency relationship or non-agency relationship recognized by law. And this continues after the termination of agency relationship or any non-agency relationships recognized by law. Realtors shall not knowingly, during or following the termination of a professional relationship with clients, reveal any confidential information or use any confidential information to a client's disadvantage. Okay. You know when you can use the confidential information, and that there are some rules associated with that. So recognize what we were saying, talking about a commission, post a transaction, complaining about either the split that was offered or what the commission was on a particular transaction gets you into trouble. Sounds like a crazy thing. I would hope that people would not do it. Please understand, if I'm bringing these slides forward, it is because on a statewide level, we have seen this appear at some association or through the commission, okay? Advertisement, advertise the property, do it, but you have to do it the right way, okay? You have to have authorization to do so. You have to make sure your professional relationship with the seller is properly established. Be certain you are not showing or making available property which is not yet, you know where I'm going with that one, really on the market. Okay, make sure your inquiries are directed back to the office. Coming soon, we knew what this disaster was. We actually thought it would be addressed via our MLS. There are many of the mind that MLS's regulations regarding same only muddied the waters. So here's what I tell you. It still seems to be a problem. We have people who actually skim people's advertisements or posts or social media, however you want to word this, looking for these kinds and types of things. There's one particular agent who comes to mind to me, who I would venture to tell you most of you on this class, as I can see you know, who will periodically just email me all the offending posts that she thinks don't comply with this portion of the code. Another thing you need to be careful about is anything you say absolutely positively has to be accurate. I know everybody wants to get a little tagline or something that identifies them, their little catchphrase. Your number one realtor is a really simple one, but that gets you in a lot of trouble. We see it often. According to who? What's your statistic? You claim to be a number one realtor on your social media, whatever platform you're using, you need to be able to substantiate what you are number one in, okay? Because you will find yourself at an ethical hearing with the number one realtor from that region, or the number one realtor in sales in that company, or the number one realtor. You get where I'm going here. So just be very, very careful. NAR's ideas for best practices in relation to how to best engage in practice now is to take their ePro certification program, to follow their Facebook page and the tips and tricks that they try to provide to you. This goes back to something else Meghan said. NAR's idea also is do promote yourself, but don't overdo it. Do let the readers know who you are as a real estate professional, but don't do it by broadcasting and listing sales. Exactly what she said is NAR's recommendation for keeping yourself safe. Do remember that the code of ethics still applies online. Keep in mind that your return on investment can be slow. The utilization of social media is not for everyone, according to NAR. This ties right back into what Megan was saying. She's telling you, you have to commit to doing this 3 times a week. You have to keep your content current. There's things that you need to do, and NAR's telling you the same thing. Remember that you want to be where your current and prospective clients are. That goes back to the information that she said. And you have to manage your social media accounts yourself so you know what's going on, okay? Here's some more suggestions from DAR. Do make your timely posts using words your clients may search for. Make sure you have a website or blog and keep it current. Post about your niche market. Make sure you go mobile, and don't replace money generating activities with social media activities. That goes back to their first statement, which is understand this might be a slow go, especially for those of you who are now just kind of embracing this practice later on in your practicing life, okay? Article 10 in 2021, we need to think of this. One of the worst things that we have seen has been the abuse of realtors' social media post the Floyd matter, okay? That NAR has expressed deep concern with what had been posted and things that really could be considered biased on real estate professionals' posts. Okay, so Article 10 in actually November of 2020 was amended, okay? It has been expanded, and it refers to discriminatory acts or behaviors, even if not done or engaged in professionally, are to be considered under membership qualifications and criteria. We keep talking about, do you have a personal page and a professional page? Here's what they're telling you. Even if you have a personal page and you express some views on your personal page, that content is to be looked at in light of your professional responsibilities. So please understand, okay, the thought process behind that is when one realtor publishes discriminatory speech or conduct online, that content becomes reflective of realtors as a whole. So I want you to recognize there's simple things about, you know, agents looking at how you are advertising properties and turning you in. There are issues about what you say and how those can be viewed in light of the code of ethics. And there are some unintended consequences about discussing what could be considered personal details in relation to transactions. But then there's this, which says that as professional real estate agents and brokers, how you live your lives and how you conduct yourself, okay, is something that can be taken in consideration. And that people who know you, if you know you personally and know you professionally, and if they know you personally, they know you're professional. So you get where I'm going here. You understand what I'm saying. The fact that you are keeping separate personal and professional pages does not mean the reach cannot go into your personal pages now. Realtors must not use harassing speech, hate speech, epithets, or slurs based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. That is the new standard of practice 10.5. That is the most recent amendment to the Code of Ethics. Okay, it was adopted on November 13th of 2020. So, I mean, it's something we need to take into consideration. I go back, I'm going to end where I actually started. If you follow all of the directions Megan gave you as to what is effective, then you don't run into any of this. Where you run into all these ethical issues is when you are trying to promote yourself and that promotion in some way disparages others, when you are trying to game the system you know, get a jump ahead of people. I mentioned, you know, coming soon. Again, we're still seeing them. When you're trying to get ahead of the system, that's going to get yourself in trouble. When you want to complain about other people, be they agents or your clients or a transaction, or yeah, I'm going to say it, an attorney in the transactions, and you're doing it online. Okay, those are the things that get you in trouble. If you actually do this the way NAR suggests and the way Meghan suggests, you're staying away from all the ethical issues. So that's me for that one.
All right, so it looks like we have a couple questions here in the chat. Val, they are asking, do you recommend bragging on your social media profiles?
For all the reasons I just stated, I think you have to temper it. I think you have to let your actions speak for themselves, but if you have to call attention to yourself in a way that in any way puts you in a position where you're going to have to answer what the justification for the bragging is, I think it's going to be a problem. It goes back to that comment I said, number one realtor. That's fine if you have the statistics to support it and you are able to provide them on that, with that. Certainly, you know, proving your success, I think, is fine, but you just have to remember how to do it within the bounds of your code of ethics. I don't know that I answered that question well, but you know, is it effective? I think we need to go back to, is bragging effective?
And I would echo that. I would not recommend bragging on your social media profiles. I don't think it's been an effective technique, as we've seen through the development of social media. And again, if it falls outside your ethics code, I would not recommend that either. We have another question here. Should you let the consumers know how busy you are?
I'm gonna answer that with a lot of thoughts, and I'm gonna make you make your own conclusions. We are all really busy right now. The thing is, you want people to know that you are busy because you are good at what you're doing. You want them to use you, however, so you don't want them to think that you are too busy to address them and treat them fairly. Because there's a fine line with that. Busy means different things. And then the third one would be, you know, is it to your advantage to tell them how busy you are in a busy market? Is that necessarily indicative of the fact that you're really good? Because this market is really busy. So again, I think it's a fine line. I'm not answering the question. However, if you have time limitations, if you have things that are limiting your time to be able to represent them appropriately and to give them your undivided attention. For example, if you are an agent who only works part-time and you have a full-time job during the day, and that is going to provide you with time constraints, that is something you should be disclosing right up front and discussing with them immediately. So.
And we have another one here. If you are the buyer's agent, are you allowed to share that listing on your page?
Are you in if you're the buyer's agent, are you allowed to, are you in the same company? I don't know. If you're in the same company, certainly, you know, you are.
So Valerie, let me give you an example.
Yep.
So say that you are working with a buyer and you are under contract now, and you're excited that you're under contract with your buyer, and you want to list, you want to put a picture of the house that they are buying along with a, you know, sort of snippet about how you're excited that your buyer is now under contract with this house. It's not your listing, it's your buyer.
It's your buyer. Yeah, no, we have a problem. We've run into issues with that with respect to advertising. That would have to be done only with the permission of the seller and the other company. And we are seeing a lot of that example that you just gave, you know, happy people coming out of the house of their dreams and they take a picture and it gets posted. Arguably, that is not to be done without the permission of the brokerage and the seller that has the listing.
So I'll step that up one more time, one more step here. How about on the day of closing, when you're taking that cute picture of them in front of the house?
The happy keys.
With the keys in hand, and it's going to close, and you're not using.
But you're going to post it after the closing, because then you're posting the picture.
Okay, that's the question. Can you post it after the closing? I guess is
after the
'cause it's
closing.
now their house.
That's right. After the closing, whose house is it? So you don't have to go to the seller or that brokerage. It belongs to those lovely people who have the keys. So, you know, if the closing happens at 1, you can post 1:05, that happy picture.
I won't get into the details of whether it's 1:05 after the closing at 1, or if it's 1:05 after it's been recorded at 1.
I'm going to say something. Please always remember that I have an office in Old Lyme. And while I am in New London County, I am one breath away from Middlesex County, where the practice is different. So I would venture to tell you, for purposes of the code of ethics, once the money changes hands and the keys are in hand and a deed has been tendered, arguably, you're safe.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I do. Valerie, what about so an office post, they're just listed, has all the details, address, MLS number, and everything like that, and then we take that and forward it to our social media site. Would you say that that's a safe practice, seeing as we are forwarding directly from one site to another and we're within the same brokerage?
Oh, you're fine. As long as you're within the same brokerage, you're fine.
Yeah, and it identifies the original listing agent.
As long as you're within the same brokerage, it's absolutely perfect.
Okay, thank you.
And everybody, take advantage of what your brokerages have available to you. There's so many of them that are developing their own, classes, or encouraging you to use, social media responsibly and for your advantage. And take advantage of what they at least attempt to lay out for you. And please, if they have a social media policy, please read it. Please understand what your companies expect of you.
Valerie, there's another question that's on the chat. It's saying, what do you think of agents that post what you see at showings on their page? In other words, they're at the house, they see something cute, like a really pretty window or a pretty door or carving, something that's not personal property, but is a part of the house. Because we all know that personal property should not be posted, but
right, personal property should not be posted. It's part of the bricks, mortar, nails, and wood. But I think you might be getting into some privacy issues. I hate to say it. You have to remember it's somebody else's home, even at a showing. So while it might be really interesting, certainly if it's something very identifiable, like you had mentioned, a window, that everybody would know. I think you might be getting into some privacy issues. I don't mean that might be a problem. I wouldn't post that without permission.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions that I might have missed or Megan had missed in the chat?
Valerie, do you want to quickly just reiterate what people need to be posting as licensed real estate agents on social media, whether it's personal or business page?
Okay, whether it's personal or business page, we have to specifically identify you as a real estate professional. So the very first thing it needs to be on there is the name of the company which you work for. Okay, that's the first thing. The address of the company. All right, there needs to be there generally should be somewhere, and there generally would be great if you could get the little fair housing logo on there. Also, your contact information, okay, not your home number, your cell phone number, company number. Okay, it needs to be very clear who you are associated and affiliated with. Okay, and I'm going to dovetail back to something Carol was saying, the teams be careful with respect to, don't don't be ordering signage and stuff at this point. I think if you think in terms of, you always have to be able, even if you are a team and you're using this, you have to be able to not have the team be the lead statement on who you are, even though that's going to be your tag. Your brokerage is what needs to be as outstanding as your team, not because what we were seeing is the team reference and then the brokerage reference. So you have to take into consideration, that it has to be very clear that you are a real estate professional and who you work with.
And if I'm not mistaken, about a year ago when we had this subject on the broker forum, it was cleared up by DCP that even if you're texting, if you're texting about real estate, about a transaction with somebody else, in at least one of those texts, not every single one, but within the conversation, you must also list your brokerage.
Absolutely. And that's why we went back to saying, when we were saying, Twitter's tough because it takes up a lot of characters, because you are required to continuously reference your brokerage. So back to Susie's point, if you are texting and you've got, you've got a conversation, it does not have to be every response, but maybe every third response. You need to make certain that people understand that. So it is cumbersome. I'm not going to tell you it's not, it is cumbersome. I think, we will evolve in time as it will become easier, but this is it. You are putting forward yourself as a real estate professional, and everybody needs to know that.
There's actually a very short way to add that into your text. If you go, I don't know about Android, but on iPhone, you can create a shortcut. So all I do is type SSD and it pulls down and it fills in all that stuff. And it's just very quick to remember to do that every now and then.
That is a tool available to you that makes it easier. And I think that's an important thing to know. You have to be able to access all the tools that allow you to do your job in this, at this time, in this, whatever we want to call it. You would be very upset if you had a surgeon who didn't know how to use a scalpel. I want you to think of utilizing social media as a tool of your industry that you need to know how to use, not only for yourself, but as I said before, to represent the interests of your clients appropriately and to the best of your ability. It's the new horizon, and we're not going to go back to there's no going back to the way it used to be. That's gone. That is gone. This is the new method.
I had a really great question asked to me as a direct message that I think would be valuable to address here as well. And it's in regards to authentication of profiles and profiles being taken over on Facebook and Instagram. If that's something you are concerned about, you can set up a two-factor identification when you sign in to ensure that your account is a little bit more secure. So that's one way to do it. If you are looking to advertise, you can get your personal page verified, not the blue check verified. Those are really hard to get, but just verify that you're an actual person, and that is through the back end of Facebook help desk, and you will need to submit a few forms as well as your driver's license to prove that you are an actual person, and they will send you a letter in the mail, and you'll have to use that code in a form back on Facebook. So it is a little bit of a lengthy process, but a process that makes sure that you are verified there. Another note too, the Facebook online help desk is really, really quick. This past January, I had an issue I needed to get resolved within 24 hours. They resolved my entire issue within 3 hours. You can never get them on the phone. I'd almost recommend not even trying to call them. I would just go straight to the online help desk. They're very responsive there.
Okay, excellent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up our session today. Before we adjourn, though, I want to tell everybody about some upcoming classes and events. So there's a few classes coming up soon. April 19th, mark your calendar. There's a commercial real estate forum with John Glaskick, director of the UConn Center for Real Estate and Urban Economic Studies and professor of finance. We've got on April 26th, we kick off the commercial and investment real estate certification program with details available on our website. On May 19th, if you do business in Rhode Island, you won't want to miss our cross-border seminar produced in collaboration with the Rhode Island Association of Realtors. On May 26th, there's another commercial real estate forum with features guests Norwich Mayor Peter Nystrom and Norwich Chamber Executive Director Angela Adams, who will share updates on COVID impact, Norwich State Hospital, and what is being done to stop Asian hate. Finally, we are gearing up for a really big resource conference this fall to be held live and in person. Wow, I can't believe I'm actually saying those words, live and in person at Foxwoods from September 22nd to the 23rd. Two-day event is gearing up to be better than anyone's we've ever done before. It's going to have 6 hours of CE with Tech Dynamo Marky Lemons Royale. If you guys haven't seen her, she is fantastic. Real estate life lessons by Lee Brown, an economic update by our very own Lawrence Yoon, economic strategist with NAR, and a hilarious hour of communication fun with Brian Blasco. There's a trade show, happy hour, an evening of bowling will bring us a much needed break to learn, grow, network, and have fun in a safe environment. And that pretty much concludes today's program. Please help me to thank ECAR staff for their help with this event and everything that they do. Thanks again to everyone. Thanks again to Valerie and Megan, and for everyone attending today's meeting, and please enjoy the rest of your day.
Wait, we have a drawing. I forgot. I must have forgot to tell you, Paula. We do have a drawing for a $100 gift card. So anybody.
Oh, we do. Yes, I'm sorry. That was me. I skipped it.
Be here in attendance. And I also want to thank the YPN committee. They strategized to put this program together for you, Tia and crew. I think you guys did a marvelous job. Okay.
Right, so we do have we have a drawing. It's a $100 Visa gift raffle drawing. And how does that work? Susie, you're going to be doing a randomizer, I think, correct?
So do you see this cool wheel?
Yes, I do.
So this is everybody's name who registered. And as long as you're here and able to say, it's me, you will be the winner of a $100 gift card. Are you ready to go?
All right, drum roll.
Oh, so close to Greg. Rachel Hodges, are you here? Let us know.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you just won $100. Awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Rachel.
Thank you.
What a way to end a meeting and having someone win $100. Could be you next time, so make sure you guys do register for our next membership meeting.
Susie.
Yes.
There's one thing that you forgot, and that is remind everybody, because everybody that's here is engaged. Tomorrow's the deadline for nominations.
Nope, we made it till the 30th.
Did it already? Good.
We've extended it to April 30th, and right now we have 0 nominations. So
there's one coming today, promise.
I'm sure that there are people that have stood out in the past year, especially during the COVID pandemic, whether you're a realtor, an affiliate, a rookie, or a YPN. We want to celebrate you. So you guys get your nominations in, and we'll figure out how to celebrate you.
Do we need to turn in for, what is it, the other one too? Counting up your points and all that. What's that one?
Honor Society. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
That one's available too. Yep. Thank you, everyone.
And those and Susie, in order to nominate someone, there is a form, correct, that they fill out. Is that available on the ECAR website?
It is.
And she's frozen. I believe it's available on the ECAR website. And I also believe that it was
now Paula's frozen.
Nominating for Realtor of the Year. So and I've just got to write it up, but I just haven't had a chance to, but make sure everybody gets theirs in.
That's the same boat I'm in. Too busy, too busy.
Right, guys, stay safe out there and enjoy your new skills that you learned today. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.